I want you to understand what I believe about the new wineskins. When Jesus talks about the new wineskins, I think he's talking about the tax collectors and the sinners. I have something new to say, he says. I have something new to share with people. And the only people who are going to be able to receive what I am teaching are these sinners. These people who are looking for a new perspective. These are the new wineskins, the sinners, the tax collectors, and all the other people marginalized and ostracized, and the Gentiles. Those are all the new wineskins who are going to receive Jesus' new wine. The issue that has come before the Pharisees and the disciples of John the Baptist is that they need validation from Jesus. They need Jesus to tell them that what they do is okay. Their practices are okay. If Jesus was following the rules, if Jesus was fasting like they were fasting, then they would be all right, and what they did is right, and they would be righteous, and they would be validated in their beliefs, but Jesus isn't doing that. And so they are confronted with a dilemma. And they suddenly become old wineskins who cannot receive what Jesus is saying. This is a very painful thing for them to hear. I don't want to let go of these traditions that I hold so dear, because if I let go of them to accept what you're saying, I may be destroyed. I feel safe and I feel secure in my fasting and in my prayers. I feel safe and I feel secure in my rituals. They've been good enough for 1,000 years. Why should I change? Why should I take your new wine into myself? For the sinners who have nothing, they are all able to absorb and bring in and take in the new. It's exciting and it's wonderful for them. And they feel like refreshed and renewed and revitalized people. But the Pharisees and the disciples of John the Baptist are intimidated by what Jesus is telling them. Oh, we don't understand that. The church never gets stuck in its traditions and its rituals. I told this story to the folks I'm singing with today. I told this story to them yesterday, and I probably told this to a bunch of you, but I'm going to make you hear it again. When I was at the church in Reseda, and before I'd even had a worship service, before I'd even preached a sermon, I sat down with one of the saints of the church who said to me, "Whatever you do, don't mess with our traditions." And so I very timidly said, "Which one did you have in mind?" And she said, "The flower cross." And I went, "I've never even heard of a flower cross. What's a flower cross?" And she said, "Well, that's the cross that we have on Palm Sunday, and we stick a bunch of flowers in it, and it's really beautiful." And I said, and I honestly have to tell you, I don't remember if I said this that day, or if I waited a few years to say it. But I think I might have said that day, "It really doesn't belong on Palm Sunday." I might have said that day, but maybe I didn't. It took 5 years for me to move it from Palm Sunday to Easter. That's okay. That's okay. I'm just slow and sure. I'm not messing with the tradition. The tradition is still there. We just put it in a different time slot. I also had a woman who said, "I'm leaving the church." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you don't sing enough old hymns." And I went, "Well, which ones? Do you want me to sing Amazing Grace every Sunday?" And that's fine, if that's what you want. The issue wasn't the hymns. The issue wasn't the singing of the old hymns, because heaven forbid, pass it on. If that's the one you're objecting In 1995, when I got to Hemet, there were people who just didn't come to church because I was a woman. Not coming. Didn't even give it a chance. Not coming. Why? Because tradition says, the traditions of my upbringing, the traditions of my church are that women are not preachers. Only men are preachers. And I will not move from the safety of that tradition, from the security of that tradition in my life, because I might be destroyed if you make me do anything else. What Jesus was trying to say, I think, Matthew's Jesus was trying to say on this day, is that God, the religion, the way in which we connect with God must be refreshed all the time. Because God is new all the time. God has an expectation that you and I will be new all the time in our perspective of who God is and how God is working in our lives. There are new people who walk through the doors of a church every single solitary day. And they have new eyes and new perspectives and new visions. And those are people we need to embrace, not because we're afraid of what they're going to tell us or show us, but because they will refresh us. They will revitalize us. How many of you still have an olive green refrigerator in your house? How many of you still have orange and green flowers on your couch? How many of you would pull in an interior decorator into your house to look at your house with new eyes to tell you what can be done? How many of you love to watch changing rooms on television? How many of you love to watch those shows that are always doing all those things to the house? You know, new things, cheap things. Because you want a new perspective. You want to see something new and different. Well, there are people who walk through the doors of this church who have new eyes to see how the church can be in the world today. Our job as Christians is not to reject them or reject their ideas or just say everything's just fine the way it is. Our job is to see how we can keep the church open and alive and revitalizing. Always, you and I are to be the new wineskins that will receive the new wine. Be refreshed, be fulfilled and fruitful, and be the new wondrous vintage. That's our job.